Grand Theft Auto can be really fun at times. You want to launch yourself way up into the sky from a swing set? Go for it. Rockstar Games has always had a great sense of humor when it comes to Grand Theft Auto, but on the contrary, they can also be very, very grim. Today we're going to be taking a look at the sad fate and fall of the McReary family, a family who Rockstar Games all but destroyed throughout the events of Grand Theft Auto 4. And yeah, I made a similar video to this in 2014, but it didn't capture anything close to what I'm going to show you in this video. And if you enjoy this documentary history of GTA character type video, and you'd like to see me do the same with other families in Grand Theft Auto, let me know by giving the video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. The McReary family is an Irish family of 7 introduced to us in Grand Theft Auto 4, comprised of Mr. McReary, who is deceased and never seen in Grand Theft Auto 4, only referenced, his wife Maureen, and their children, Derrick, Francis, Gerald, Patrick, and Kate, whom we all get to know. Starting off with the head of the family, we have Mr. McReary, who, as I mentioned before, is never physically seen in the game because he passed away before the events of Grand Theft Auto 4, but we can actually see a portrait of him and his wife Maureen above the fireplace in their home. Now, he does have a pretty lengthy criminal backstory. Based on his wife, Maureen's criminal record, we can see that he was arrested for murder in 1950 and became a fugitive in or around 1961. According to Packie, Mr. McCreary was an abusive and an alcoholic until his suicide, quote-unquote, in the year 2000. Albeit it said he committed suicide, Packie thinks that his brother Gerald had something to do with this. And the reason for that is because Mr. McCreary actually molested and abused Gerald and Packie when they were younger and growing up. And he overall just wasn't a good man at all. He's even mentioned by Maureen, his wife, as most likely burning in hell. Now that brings us to Maureen McCreary, the mother of the family. She was born in 1935 and she's actually 73 years old during the events of Grand Theft Auto 4. Now, she's well aware of her son's criminal activities, but she's still intent on keeping the family together and instilling Christian values upon them. Seems like she's just a sad lady who's always wanted her family to be together and be good, wants that stereotypical happily ever after TV type family that obviously she never gets. If you choose the revenge ending to Grand Theft Auto 4, we can see Packie comforting her after Kate dies, and Packie mentions to Nico that he is all she has left. With Kate and Derrick gone, Gerald in prison, and Francis estranged, between GTA 4 and GTA 5, my guess is that she passes away because Packie left for Los Santos. And with Packie saying that she's all that he's got left, why would Packie leave for Los Santos and appear in GTA 5? That's only a guess, but it makes sense to me. Maybe she died of a broken heart because her family's fallen apart, she's older, she's lost not only her husband now, but also her sons. Moving on, we have Derrick, the eldest of all the sons. He was born in 1956, and he's 52 during the events of GTA 4. Derrick is obviously the eldest of the brothers, and he started his criminal record in the early 1970s, before he was even 18 years old. By 1980, he was arrested for cocaine, and by 1985, he was arrested for carrying explosives. He went to Ireland in the late 1980s, where he worked with 2 others in fighting against the UK government during the Northern Ireland conflict. Their combat ended in 1995 when the trio made their way back to the US and was arrested for a string of violent robberies. Derrick actually was able to get away scot-free, where he returned to Ireland until he made his return back to Liberty City in 2008, where he pulled off the Bank of Liberty City heist alongside Packie, Michael, and Nico. He also ties up some loose ends, but once his younger brother Francis finds out that he's returned to Liberty City, he fears that Derrick will expose his corruption and asks Nico to kill Derrick. This is where we're prompted with the option to kill either Derrick or Francis. Now, if you kill Francis, you get nothing in return, and Derrick is never seen again. Whereas, if you spare Francis, you can use him to remove wanted levels. But because this is a player-determined decision, things get very confusing because we don't know which outcome is the real outcome. Now, logically, we would think taking out Francis would be because he's really annoying. He's just a straight-up douchebag. But it gets even more confusing because in Grand Theft Auto 5, Packie actually mentions that his brother Derrick is dead. Now that still leaves us with two options. Maybe Derrick died due to his drug problems and alcohol problems, as that's very prevalent and seen in Grand Theft Auto 4, or he died because that was the real outcome in the mission where we have to take out either Francis or Derrick. Now moving on to Francis, he was born in 1963. He's 45 during the events of GTA 4. He's disliked by his brothers due to his career in law enforcement, so he's pretty estranged from the family. But he is considered a hypocrite by all of his brothers because he's mentioned as being just as crooked, if not more crooked, than his brothers. He originally wanted to be a priest when he was younger, but he got cheating on his test to do so. So now he's trying to become the commissioner of the LCPD. And in doing so, he wants Nico to take out small-time crooks and drug dealers to improve the city. So, as we can see, he's very corrupt even as an LCPD officer. He blackmails Nico to cover up his own misdeeds, and then obviously, as we mentioned before, tries to blackmail Nico into killing his brother Derrick. Now, as I mentioned, it seems like the outcome in Grand Theft Auto 4 that is real is to take out Derrick, but where things seem to also get even more confusing is when spawning this mission in through mods in GTA 4, we know that there is two outcomes, kill Derrick or kill Francis. Well, when you spawn it in through mods, there's only one option, and that is with Francis dying. We go to his funeral and we bury him. Derrick has nothing to do with this. There is no other option for that, and it's not something to do with the mod menu because there are multiple missions with multiple outcomes in GTA 4, and every single one of those, you can spawn in either outcome, except for this one. So, could it be that the real ending is to take out Francis, and Derrick dies of his alcoholism and drug problem sometime between GTA 4 and GTA 5? Moving on, we've got Gerald. Born in 1973, he's 35 during the events of GTA 4, and he is the only McReary family member to not ever be seen outside of a cutscene, so he doesn't have a physical character model. Gerald is a very bitter, ruthless, and violent man. He was beaten by his father, also molested alongside Packie, which prompted his life of crime to start at the age of 13, where he was arrested for stealing. Now, after Mr. McCreary died, Jerry did take over as the leader of the McReary mob, and like I mentioned before earlier on in the video, even though it's Mr. McCreary's death is ruled as a suicide, Packie alludes to the fact that Gerald most likely killed Mr. McCreary. Now, with Gerald being the head of the McReary mob, Derrick was in Ireland, Francis joined the LCPD, and Packie was a bit younger, so that's how that happened. He has Nico do some serious work, though, in creating gang wars and even kidnapping. But right before the funeral, whether it be Derrick or Francis, Jerry is arrested for racketeering offenses and incarcerated on some bigger charges that are also brought up. Now, we do some work for him while he's in prison, but towards the end, Jerry bids farewell, stating that he's going to be in prison for a very long time, up to 50 years. As for the last brother that we have Packie McReary. Born in 1979, he's 29 years old during the events of Grand Theft Auto 4. He's the youngest of all the brothers, and once again, he was abused and molested by their father alongside Gerald. Because of this, Packie developed a drug habit at 14 years old. He would even stay home from school to roll joints for his dad. Now, he idolized Jerry of all his brothers and began this life of crime super early in life. He mentions in GTA 5 that his first ever involvement in the crime lifestyle and criminal underworld was spotting for his brothers when he was in middle school during their heists. He was arrested for the first time in 1997 for Grand Theft Auto at 18 years old, thus beginning his criminal record, which he followed up with grand larceny, hijacking, and drugs as late as 2005. Now, in the credits to The Ballad of Gay Tony, we can see Packie is leaving Liberty City in a taxi and entering Francis International Airport. By 2013, Packie is 34 years old, he's in Los Santos, and we encounter him robbing a drugstore. He can later be used as a gunman during single-player heists, and he talks about his involvement in the Bank of Liberty City and confirms that Derrick is dead. He can also appear in GTA Online as well, as recently as the casino heist, and we can actually use him in that. Now, I do want to talk about how Packie mentioned in Grand Theft Auto 4 that he's basically all that his mother has left, being that Kate is dead, being that either Francis or Derrick is dead. Either way, if Derrick dies, Francis is still estranged from the family, Gerald is in prison, and that's it. So, my guess is that being that Packie is seen leaving Liberty City in the credits to The Ballad of Gay Tony, which is in 2008, his mother most likely passed away. Like I said, maybe of a broken heart, natural causes, we don't entirely know. This is all theory and speculation, but if his mother was all Packie had left, why would he leave Liberty City and go to Los Santos? So, that leads me to speculate and theorize that Mrs. McCreary has also passed away, leaving Packie and Gerald to be the only two members of the family left. Now, lastly, we do have Kate McReary, the youngest of all the siblings. She was born in 1980, and she's 28 during the events of Grand Theft Auto 4. She's the youngest of the family, works at the Duke's Community Center, holds conservative values, and she's the opposite of her brothers. She's very innocent, very sweet. Seeing her brothers growing up traumatized her. She went through lots of therapy. This is mentioned to her, to Nico during their dates. And she also goes on to say that Mr. McReary and her had an excellent relationship, unlike the relationship he had with her brothers. Now, during the revenge or the canon ending to Grand Theft Auto 4, which we know by now is the real ending to GTA 4, Kate is accidentally shot and killed by Jimmy Pegarino. And fun fact, Roman states that him and Mallory are expecting a child, and if it is a girl, that they will name her after Kate. So that is the sad fate of the McReary family in Grand Theft Auto 4, who all of them pretty much perish or have very unfortunate endings. Now, I want to mention too that Packie can be killed in GTA 5, but we know that that is just a player-determined decision. That doesn't mean anything because he does go on to appear in GTA Online, so even though you can take him out in single player, that doesn't mean anything at all, thank goodness. But I do want to finish up the video by doing a tour the McCreary house that we can actually go inside of through the use of mods. Now, we usually only see this in cutscenes, but we can take a look inside, and once inside in the foyer area, the stairs are actually ghost stairs. You just go right through them, nothing there. There's a really cool old phone on the wall. There's a phone book on the floor. And then if we go into the main area, the living room, which we see in a vast majority of the cutscenes that take place in GTA 4 inside of the McCreary household, we got some very interesting things going on here. Now, aside from the family photos that we can see and the portrait above the fireplace of Mr. and Mrs. McCreary, we can see that, well, the family's pretty crazy because on the coffee table, we've got lines of coke that can be snorted off of a picture of Francis, just alluding to the fact that Francis is dead to the family, as well as there are some very interesting comedic newspapers that can be found in the living room. And also, if we take a look, there's a room that we really don't see in any cutscenes, like an empty room that's under construction, which leads to the kitchen. Now, I noted that the kitchen looks very similar to CJ's in GTA San Andreas, but the kitchen here is also used in cutscenes for the McCreary family and in the McCreary household. But I thought it'd be cool to do a little house tour and show off also what we have inside of here. So, with that said, that is the sad fall and fate of the McCreary family in Grand Theft Auto. If y'all enjoyed this video and would like to see more history of families in Grand Theft Auto, whether it be the Carl Johnson family, the Vance family, the Lost MC Liberty City chapter, let me know down below in the comments. There are tons of families to cover within Grand Theft Auto. If you enjoyed, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, let me know which family you'd like to see me cover next by leaving a comment down below. Consider subscribing and turn on notifications. That way you never miss out on another daily video game upload. And with that said, I'm Zach Cox. Thank y'all for tuning in. I love you all, and I hope to see ya in the next video.